because of our criminal procedure subject, we have given the task of the case review, and our group has chose the case of Raya and Muhammad Rozani Yahaya. In regards of our case study, first and foremost, we need to identify the issue whether Muhammad Rozani Yahaya is liable for the offence of murder under the Section 302 of the Penal Code against Abdul Halim bin Sheikh Yusof, hinged on several keys of circumstances, including his mental health and intoxication during the incident. Under the Section 302 of the Penal Code, it is provided that the offence of murder need to prove the two elements, which is the first one is the act of causing the death and the intention to kill or intent to cause the harm to the body which lead to the death.
Alright, as for the incident details, the tragic incidents occurred around 25 January 2018 in 12 in the noon, which happened in Kampung Apa-Apa Bunut Susu Pasir Mas, Kelantan, which the victim here, Abdul Halim bin Sheikh Yusof, tragically lost his life as a result of the attack. Moving on to the sequence of events, the incident began to happen when Muhammad Rozani threw an object at the victim's house, provoking a confrontation. So, in response, the victim, which is Abdul Halim bin Sheikh Yusof, approached Rozani's father to address the matter before confronting Rozani himself. This situation escalated happens when Rozani chased the victim with iron rod and struck him, which causing a severe brain injuries that proved fatal. The victim here died at the scene, and Rozani after that fled immediately but was later found hiding in the nearby river. Furthermore, the witness testimony came to the fact that several witnesses provided critical testimony in this case. First things first, Suspect 5, the victim's wife himself, testified that she saw Rozani holding an iron rod at the time of the accident. After that, Rozani's cousin stated that their grandfather had told him that Rozani struck the victim. Meanwhile, as for the suspect 3, a police officer involved in the investigation confirms that Rozani had a history of mental health issue and was known to abuse drugs. Of course, his testimony here were essential in understanding the circumstances surrounding the crime.
Now, I will talk about the judgment made by the court in this case. The court ruled that it was unnecessary for the accused to appear before the court to defend himself. This is because the court already accepted the prosecution's witnesses as confirming the accused's intoxication and mental state. Moreover, both the prosecution and defense did not dispute that the accused's insanity was due to methamphetamine intoxication at the time of the offense occurred. So, the accused was then acquitted on the grounds that at the time he committed the crime, he was unable to understand the nature of his act due to intoxication or being insane. The court in this case also disagreed with the Deputy Public Prosecutor's argument that the defense had not yet discharged its burden to prove the accused's insanity at the end of the prosecution's case. Third, the accused was placed under care at Hospital Bahagia Ulu Kinta, Tanjung Rambutan, Perak until he received an order from His Majesty the Sultan of Kelantan.
Here are the grounds of the judgment in the provided cases. Firstly, the prosecution established 4 key elements under Section 302 of the Penal Code to fulfill the criteria of the death of the victim, the death resulting from the injuries inflicted, the act of causing those injuries, and the intent to kill or knowledge that the action would lead to murder. Another ground for judgment is the established evidence, which include the autopsy report proving the deceased suffered a brain injury. Additionally, the accused was found fleeing with bloody iron rod. And lastly, in the defense case, it was proven that the accused had a mental illness, which resulted in erratic behavior. This falls under Section 85 subsection 2b and 86 subsection 1, where mental illness exempts an individual from liability. Therefore, there was no intent to commit a murder.
Based on the facts of the case, it was concluded that the defense raised by the defense counsel was successful. The ground of defense that was raised in this case was that the accused was of unsound mind, which he was not in his right mind when the incident occurred. A psychiatric forensic specialist was called upon to help with the proceeding of the case. After further examination, the specialist presented to the court that the accused had suffered from schizophrenia in remission, mild intellectual disability, and also had substance dependency. Additionally, the accused also owned an OKU card following his illness that has been known since 2004. Not only that, the witnesses also did not deny the fact that they knew the accused had suffered from mental illness. At the end of the prosecution, the court was satisfied with the grounds and the statement presented by the specialist, as it led to the irresistible conclusion that the accused was indeed not in his right mind and that the witness statement was not convincing enough to prove that he was in his right mind during the incident. One thing that could be pointed out in this case is on what reason a medical examination was not held earlier, given the fact that the people had already knew that the accused had a history of mental illness following his addiction on amphetamine and methamphetamine during the incident. The incident occurred on 25 January 2018, whereas the specialist was only called upon to perform a medical examination on the accused on 30 of October 2018, which is 9 months after the incident. The result of the report had raised doubts regarding the accuracy of the report when the incident was occurred. In the report, it was stated that the accused was in his right mental state and understands what he was doing. The specialist, however, had stressed that she was unable to give any possible condition of the accused during the incident as it was too long since it happened.
In summary, the accused's failure to inform the court about his mental state caused significant disruption in the proceeding. While it wasn't too late to gather evidence, the delay led to waste time and resources for the prosecution. If the medical examination had been done earlier, the court would not have had to go through unnecessary steps such as asking the accused to enter a defense for murder. Reflecting on the facts, it is clear that all information related to a person is important. Those responsible for providing this information must do so, especially when the person involved is unable to. It is the judge's role to decide the relevance of the information once it is presented in court.